Welcome to today's story titled Triplets. It was that time of year when new things started taking place. It was that time of year when people moved around from one place to the other. It was that time of year when people moved out of their comfort zone. It was that time of year that people started getting used to new schedules. It was that time of year when schools resumed for a new session. As it is with any new school session, we found out that some students had left and some new students had registered. Among the new students that registered at Graceland Group of Schools was a set of triplets. The triplets were all boys, and these boys were in SS1. There were three arms of SS1, and none of the boys were in the same class. Even if they were in the same class, it wouldn't have been difficult to differentiate them because, yes, they were triplets, but they were not identical. They looked alike facially, and the voice sounded the same. But apart from that, there are a lot of differences. For example, Mal in SS1A was the shortest of the three of them, but he had muscles. He looked really great with a nice physique. It showed that he loved exercising regularly. Cybro in SS1B looked as if he could play basketball very well. On the other hand, Hound in SS1C looked as if he did not like exercising at all. The thing he liked exercising the most, you want to know, was his jaws. He loved eating a lot. The students of Graceland Group of Schools were excited, although because they had been twins before, this was the first time there's going to be triplets in the school. In SS1C with Hound were two regular attendees at Iglesia, Edward and his good friend Chudubem. Maestro was the only member of the K Squad Academy that attended the Graceland Group of Schools. However, he was in the primary school section, so he had very little contact with the twins. Anyway, let's see what happens in the new school year. It was a new school year, and things at Iglesia continued as before. On Sunday, the topic taken was the words of my mouth. I was just a direct teaching. All the children and teenagers listened to what was being said. On Thursday, the topic was taken again. This time, they had a chance to talk. The children in the children's section with Miss Anu, and the teenagers in the teenage section with Mr. Korede. This time, they voiced what they felt about the topic. In the children's section was a calm discussion as they were encouraged to speak positive words. Some of them shared how compliments made them feel good and made them feel great. Another shared about how some hurtful words make them feel bad. One girl said that something that helped her was something her mom kept on repeating, and that was, do unto others what you would have them do unto you. One of the children mentioned that that was the golden rule, and Miss Anu used that comment to round off the discussion. The meeting in the children's section ended with an activity, and at the end of the meeting, all the children left feeling good and happy. In the teenage section was a different story. Mr. Korede did not find it funny. Why? Because the teenagers could not agree on what was good words and bad words. They all agreed that using the F word and the S word were a no-no. But apart from that, sometimes the discussion almost turned into verbal abuse fights. But thankfully, Mr. Cordy and the other coordinators were able to calm the teenagers down. Some of them felt that there was nothing wrong with play abusing, since the person they were talking to was their friend and their friends understood what they were saying. But others said that there was nothing like play abusing. Abusing was abusing. I don't see how you can call it play abusing. Abuse is abuse, Aura, the leader of the K squad, said. That's not how I see it, Lillian said. What's wrong with telling Banker that she better look for another tailor when she understands that I'm admiring what she wears? Everyone knows that Banker is a fashionista. Yes, she dresses well, Aura replied. Why don't you just tell her that straight? That's boring, Lillian replied. And some of the teenagers agreed with her. We need to make our lives more interesting, Shegun said. Adults are so boring. Apologies to the adults here. But it's true. There were murmurs of agreement. For example, if I tell Emeka, go and jump in the river, he knows I don't mean he should jump in the river. He knows I just means that he should leave me alone. I want to be alone for a while. 100% correct, Emeka said. We understand each other. I'm not going to say something like that to somebody that I don't know well, Shegun continued. Okay, so, but it's just like when some people ask the question, are you mad? Amaka said. For you to ask that kind of question, you must have seen signs of madness in the person. The person must have done something you don't agree with. Or why bother with the question? Don't tell me that's a new way of asking, how are you? Mr. Cordy allowed the discussion to go on for a few minutes longer, and then he rounded it off with a few scriptures. Let no unwholesome words proceed from your mouth, he said. Unwholesome means unhealthy, harmful, destructive. Also, we are told to speak as though seasoned with salt. A third scripture says that you shouldn't allow people to look down on you because you are teenagers. Instead, your speech, your conduct should show you as a good example of a believer. Mr. Corday spoke for a few more minutes before he released the teenagers to go home. Some of the children and teenagers went home by themselves. Others waited to be picked up by parents and other family members. Once the last child had gone, Miss Anu picked up her bag and wanting to go home. But Mr. Corday appealed that she should wait. He was little troubled in his spirit, and he wanted her to pray with him. Miss Anu agreed, and they prayed for a few minutes together. Mr. Corday felt much better, and then he escorted her to her car. He then went back in, packed up his things, and left for home. Well, we've come to the end of today's story. For the continuation of the story, meet us next week. Bye!